If your surname is on this list, it might not be your family's real one. Behind it, there's an older name, Gaelic, Norse, sometimes illegal, that somebody stopped saying out loud in a glen, at a border, or on a ship's manifest. You're not just Scottish by heritage. You're descended from people who traded the word they were known by for the chance to keep breathing. Stay until number 1, because that name carries a secret a crown spent 171 years trying to erase. Someone is still using the cover story tonight. Number 10. Graham. Old English, the grey home. There's no glen behind it. This was a border name, and on the border you didn't owe loyalty to Scotland or to England. You owed it to your surname. Then in 1603 the crowns unite, and James doesn't need a lawless buffer between two kingdoms he now owns. The Border Commission goes to work with written instructions about the malefactors of the name of Graham, not their crimes, their name. In 1606, around 50 families are transplanted to County Roscommon, to land that had gone to waste and made to pay for their own removal. When they drift back, laws are passed forbidding any Graham to return. Most ended up in Ulster, then in the Appalachians. And in a lot of those families, there's a story, not a record, that some of them wrote the name backwards to get through. Maharg, Macarg, Maharg. Scholars have mostly picked that apart, but ask yourself why the story survived 4 centuries anyway. Somebody needed it to be true. Not every family hid downward. Number 9. Campbell. From the Gaelic Campbell, crooked mouth. Not a title. A nickname somebody got stuck with, and his descendants inherited. Look at the earliest records, and the P isn't there. Campbell, 1263. Campbell in the ragman roll of 1296. Then around 1390, a Duncan Campbell starts inserting that silent P, because Latin clerks had begun writing the family down as de Campo Bello, of the fair field, an elegant Norman origin for a Gaelic insult. There was never a Norman family of that name. Skene rejected it, Black rejected it. The letter stayed anyway. So the most powerful clan in the Highlands quietly edited itself to sound less Highland, and a great many Campbells alive now descend not from that bloodline, but from tenants who took the name for protection. Protection that, in Argyll, was real. The next name was changed by people with no choice at all. Number 8. Lamont. From the Norse lugmaður, the lawman. The one who settles the dispute. Hold on to that. They held Cowell for centuries, and in the 1640s Scotland tears in half, and they raid Campbell land. In June 1646, the Campbells come back with cannon. Tord and Asgog surrender on written terms guaranteeing safety. The terms are broken the same day. Around 200 Lamont men, women, and children are taken by boat to Dunoon and killed in the churchyard. 36 of the clan's gentlemen are hanged from one tree. What happened to the name afterwards isn't in any statute. Clan tradition holds that the survivors went into the lowlands and became black, white, brown, Turner, lamb. Words so ordinary nobody at a market would ask twice. If one of those is your surname, it probably has nothing to do with Cowell, but it might. Some families went the other way, names nobody would recognize at all. Number 7. MacFarlane. MacFarlane, son of Parlin. They held Ayrshire at the head of Loch Lomond. They raided by moonlight, and the neighbors called a full moon MacFarlane's lantern. Their war cry was Loch Sloy. In 1587, they're named a broken clan. In 1594, they're denounced. In 1624, the trials come, men hang, and the rest are driven out of Ayrshire and resettled in Aberdeenshire and Strathaven. And this is the part that matters. They arrived and became somebody else. McCondy, Greask, McJames, McInnes. Others crossed to Ireland and turned into McFarland. Weir, Napier, Miller, Robb, Bryce, names of McFarlane could vanish inside. They kept the war cry for a loch they no longer had any right to stand beside. If this is landing for you, Take 5 seconds and hit like and subscribe. The next name wasn't changed by a court or a chief, it was changed by a printing press. And number 1 is the name it was a capital offense to say out loud for 171 years. Number 6, Mingus, DL, and Mackenzie. 3 names most of the people carrying them pronounce wrong, and it isn't their fault. Older Scots had a letter English lost, the yogh, written like a curled 3, sounding roughly like a Y. Menzies was Menyez, a Scots form of the Anglo-Norman manners. Dalziel was Dalyell, from the Gaelic Dale Giel, the white field. Mackenzie was McKenye, from McCoinich. Then printing arrives, and the typecases come from England, and there's no yogh in the tray. So the printers reach for the letter that looks closest, a Z. Nobody decided this, no edict, no massacre. A supply problem in a print shop rewrote thousands of families, and George Black was still recording the old sound, Mackenye, as standard in 1946. If you say your name the way it's spelled, you're reading a Twipo 400 years old. The next family didn't lose their origin, they wrote a better one. Number 5, Buchanan. And this one breaks the pattern. It isn't a warrior word at all. It's a piece of ground east of Loch Lomond, and the Gaelic behind it is Buchanan, the house of the canon. Churchland, a family of clerics. But that isn't the story the Buchanans tell. Theirs begins in 1016 with Anselon O'Cathain, a prince of Ulster driven out by Danes, landing in Argyll, fighting for Malcolm II, and winning the land as reward. It's a good story. It's also first written down in 1723, 7 centuries later, by William Buchanan of Auchmar, and historians treat it as origin myth. Genetic work points to local Lennox roots instead. So here's the turn. Not every hidden origin is a wound. Some are ambitions. A family of churchmen in a country that counted worth in war bands needed a sword in its past, and somebody supplied one. That's survival too, and it worked so well their descendants still repeat it, which makes the next name harder. What happens when the foreign origin is real? Number 4, Fraser. Not Gaelic, not Norse. French. The earliest forms are de Frasel and Friesel, and the strawberries on the arms, Frace, are a pun invented afterwards to explain a name nobody understood anymore. They arrive as incomers and go native harder than almost anyone. Within a few generations, the chief of the Frasers of Lovat is known in Gaelic as Mac Shimid, son of Simon, and his tenants speak no French and never have. Then April 1746, Culloden. The Fraser men are on that moor. The following year, the old Lord Lovat is beheaded in London, the last man in Britain to die that way. Then the strangest turn of all. Fraser soldiers are shipped to Quebec, and Fraser tenants are cleared to Nova Scotia, and a Norman French surname ends up sounding most at home in Cape Breton, in the mouths of people singing in Gaelic. They hid where they came from, then they died for where they ended up. Go back further, and the erasure gets colder. Number 3, Comyn, from Comyn, a town near Lille. Another incoming family, and for a while the most powerful in Scotland. 4 earldoms, 2 seats among the guardians of the realm, a claim to the throne. Then February 1306, in a church in Dumfries, Robert the Bruce kills John Comyn. In 1308, Bruce's men break the Comyn army near Inverurie, and then spend months burning Buchan. The harrying, they called it, homes, grain, cattle, until there's nothing left to rally around. And this is the part that's hard to say cleanly. Bruce is the hero of the national story. That story required this family's destruction, and it worked. The name softened into Coming. It shaded into Buchan, into Niven, into Cheney, into Russell, and by tradition into Farquharson. If you carry one of those, your people are the reason Scotland's hero needed an army. Burning a family off the land is one thing, doing it with a signature is another. Number 2, Ruthven. Say it the way it looks, and you've already lost the thread. It belonged to one of the great houses of Perthshire, long before the night that ended it. August 1600. The Earl of Gowrie and his brother die in Perth in a struggle with James VI's men, in circumstances nobody has ever satisfactorily explained. In November, Parliament does something rare in European law. It abolishes the surname, not the title. The name, heirs barred from land, and by proclamation the family seat, Ruthven Castle, is renamed Hunting Tower, so the word comes off the map. It's still called Hunting Tower today. 41 years those families lived as other people. In 1641, Parliament gives the name back to one branch, the Ruthvens of Ballindean, with a line in the record about living as if the act had never been made against them. Other branches never took it back. There are people now carrying a different surname who are the last of that house and don't know it. 3 years after that first act, the same king did it again. Not to a family, to thousands. Number 1, McGregor, son of Gregor. And the clan claimed descent from the Seol Alpin, the seat of Alpin, the old royal line, a claim they carried in the motto, Sriogal Mo Dream. Royal is my race, exactly the wrong thing to be saying when a king is listening. February 1603, Glen Fruin. The McGregors ambush the Colquhouns, and over 100 men die, and the reports reaching Edinburgh are worse than the battle. They weren't innocent. On the 3rd of April, weeks before he rides south to take the English throne, James has the name declared alto gitter abolished. To be called McGregor is a capital offense. No land, no weapons, no gathering above 4. The chief and 11 of his men hang the next year. Lifted in 1661, reimposed in 1693, and not finished until 1774. So they became other people: Murray, Grant, Graham, Stewart, Drummond, Campbell, Greer, Gregory, Greg, King, Black, White, Fletcher, Comrie, Malloch. The longest sept list of any Scottish clan, and it isn't a genealogy. It's a list of hiding places. 6 generations of children learning the real name indoors and the safe one outdoors. Then in 1774, with the law dead, 826 men signed a petition naming John Murray of Lanrick their chief. 826 men putting down a name they had never once been legally allowed to use. But the ones already across the Atlantic never heard the law had changed. They stayed Greer. They stayed King. They stayed white. Somewhere tonight there's a kitchen table with a photocopied passenger manifest on it, the surname spelled 3 different ways in 3 columns, in one clerk's handwriting, and whoever's reading it can't work out which one is right. None of them are. All of them are. 2 surnames in Scottish history were abolished by law. Every other name here was traded away quietly, at a border post, in a churchyard register, in a market town in Aberdeenshire, in a print shop that didn't stock the right letter. Nobody wrote those moments down. They just happened and got handed forward, and they're still being handed forward now. If your surname is on this list, it isn't paperwork. Somebody chose it under pressure, in a bad year, probably frightened, and it worked. The proof is that a stranger is going to call it out across a waiting room this week, and you'll stand up without thinking. Drop your surname in the comments below. I want to know which one you carry, and which of these 10 landed closest to your own family. And if there's a story in your house about a name being changed, shortened, or misspelled on arrival, tell me that one too. Those are the ones I go looking for.